Hello to everyone on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and to my special Limitless tribe. Thank you so much for joining me over here once again on this Wednesday evening. And today I want to share one small story with you. So, the story is about this person who had a very small house. And he was, his wife used to constantly nudge him that, I'm not very happy, we need a bigger space and do something about it. And he used to constantly get pressurized. So, he finally found out about some, Baba who used to stay just out of the town, and he decided that, let me find out a solution because I do not have enough money to go for a bigger house. So let me find out what I can do. Maybe he'll be able to give me a solution. And then he went out to meet this Baba over there. And he told him that, Baba, I have a very tiny little house and it feels very suffocating in that house. So, do you suggest something that I can do to make it better? The Baba was very, very wise. And he was like, you know what? Do you have any animals in your house? He was like, yeah, I have some hens, about 10, 12 of them. He was like, you do one thing. Take all those 10, 12 hens and, take them inside your house. And, come after a week. And then I will tell you what you need to do. This guy was like all confused, but still, he has gone to a wise man, he has to listen to him. So he went ahead and said okay, and he went back, lived with all the 10, 12 hen. Life was more suffocating, but they managed. He came back again to the guy, and this time again he said, do you have anything else, any other animal? He was like, I have 4 5 goats with me. He was like, go ahead and put those goats as well inside, and then come again next week and I'll tell you a solution. This guy was even more confused, but he has to listen to him. So he went back. They started staying with the goats inside, all the mess that they created, the hens, the goats, but they managed. Came back again to the guy and he was like, "Ki Babaji, please tell me something now." He was like, "Do you have anything else left?" He was like, "Yeah, I have, a cow and a calf." He was like, "Do one thing, last time, take them also inside, and come again next week, and this time for sure I'll tell you." He was like, okay, we all have a fear that he's a wise man. If I don't listen to him, maybe he'll do something. So he came back and not very happily, but yeah, took them also inside and stayed for a week with everything inside. And again came back to Babaji. This time he was keeping his fingers crossed. He was like, Babaji, I have stayed with all of them. Life has become so much of a mess. But yeah, we have managed. Babaji said, okay, this time you take them all out and come next week, pakka, I'm going to tell you something. So now he went back, he took out everything, and when he came back, Babaji asked, how is it? He's like, wow, life is like heaven. They couldn't have been anything better. So it looks like a place which is extremely big, and now we don't have any issues. So that was the solution of the Babaji. The story, basically, the message I want to give you is always aspire for a better life, but never, forget to be happy with whatever you have. With that message, I want to tell about my today's guest. You know what? She never aspired to have a career. She was never a person from the beginning itself who was ambitious or career oriented. But life had something else in store for her. And how, with each and every small or big decision, she reached the place where she is, where she says that she has arrived. So here I have Neeraja Ganesh with us, who is going to tell us how she has arrived and what makes her, feeling in that space. So let's bring her on with warm applause and a big round of welcome. Hey Neeraja, thank you so much for joining me over here. A warm welcome to you for joining me on this show. And I'm very, very excited to have you over here.
Thank you, Anshu. And as I said, I went through the earlier episodes, and I feel so privileged to be on your show, and I'm sure we'll have a great conversation today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So, Neeraja, I mean, when I saw you, I was really blown away by this kind of simplicity with which you carry yourself. I mean, the chuspa, which your simplicity itself, it's a different thing altogether. We all can dress up well and we all can show off, and all that gives us a lot of boost of confidence. But with your kind of simplicity, how do you manage to do so much into the space of leadership and in the space of consulting? And best part is not being carried away ever, because our world is a world of fads and comparisons and so much of complexity people have. For every small thing they develop the inferiority complex. How have you managed to stay so deep rooted? Please share your secret with us.
Thank you, Anshu. And I'm glad you started the session with a story because throughout today's conversation, I will be narrating stories because that's my style. Because I believe that stories have a much deeper impact than just some gyan that somebody could share. So let me start with my story of simplicity, right? So I remember it was my 13th birthday. I was studying in 8th standard. We had just moved from Indore to Bangalore. So I was very new in the school, right? Birthday falls in July, school started in June, so just a few weeks. And the tradition of distributing chocolates in school. So you go around giving chocolates to everyone in the class, and then you go to the staff room and give chocolates to the teachers. And then finally, you go to the principal's office, and that's a special chocolate that you would give to her,
Yes,
and
yes,
you would get a gift from the principal. So I
yes.
still remember that. And at the school that I studied was affiliated to the Aurobindo Ashram in Pondicherry. So
Mhm.
a lot of the learnings that we had through the school was also a lot to do with Aurobindo's teachings and the mother's, teachings. So the gift that she gave me was a small book, a very thin, small book of mother's teachings, and on that was written, "There is great beauty in simplicity." And she gave me that book. And she said, "Nirja, you're so simple, and hence you are beautiful." And can you
Wow.
imagine for a girl like me, who, was a plain Jane, as I said, and didn't think really big about my looks, and I don't think it was also. I was like, I think it was so deeply ingrained in me, that particular statement that she made. And the fact that I was so new in the school, right? And she observed
Right,
it. She
right,
observed the simplicity part. And
right.
if I were to look at it, I mean, at that point in time, maybe I had no other option but to be simple because I came from a family which was that simple. So we're not a
Mhm.
very affluent, fashionable family. So I must have, dressed up in the kind of simple clothes that my mother could, afford. And, she used to stitch it for me. So I was, I used to wear very traditional clothes, like the long skirts, a nice, oily hair, and plaited it up, and, went to school and all that stuff. But over a period of time, I think that's become a value for me because I have realized that you have to be just yourself. Why do you
Yes.
have to be the rest of the world? And every decision of mine I have taken, and I'm not going to really narrate the stories of how I, went to NIIT and did a course, and then how I got into a job while I was pursuing a career, and the man that I married, which was also a very hard decision because I come from an era, right? So I'm 50 this year. So I was looking to get married in the early 1990s. It was a traditional arranged marriage. And my parents were looking out for this groom when the entire eligible bachelorhood used to be going to the US because it was the boom, software industry boom. And
Right,
I
right.
that no, I don't want to go. I would like to be in the country. So any of those decisions that I have taken have been because of what I have kind of visualized for myself.
Right.
And that's what simplicity does to you. You are just yourself. And be happy in who you are and what you are, and you go about doing your stuff. And today, everybody knows me as someone who is this simple, not only in appearance, but also in all my interactions. And the way I write, the way I deliver talks, everybody says the reason why they're attracted towards it is because everything is so simple. You're not complicating it at all. And then they also say that they love it and they find it so unique. So if you can bring in your uniqueness by simplicity, then why complicate life? So that's the
Absolutely, absolutely. And that has kind of, I went through a lot of your talks and, what you write. And that is one factor which kind of really drew me towards you, because you put across your message in such a simple and crisp manner. Very clear, very simple, and very crisp. The message comes across to me. I'm able to implement it in my life without any complication. And frankly, I'm really have become your fan. I
thank
really
you.
love the person you are. So why don't you also share your story? Because I already shared with the audience that you actually never aspired. So
Hmm.
how did you end up being where you are?
Sure, sure. So, obviously, I never aspired for a career because I come from a very traditional, conservative, Tamil family is from the south of India. And marriage was what was, kind of spoken about at home. I'm an only child. So I was very clearly told that once you finish your graduation, then you'll be married off. And there was no talk of work.
Right.
In my mind and heart, I really wanted to work to earn a little bit of money, uh, just for myself. I don't know why. I mean, my parents provided for me very well. It wasn't as if I was struggling for anything, but I really wanted to work and earn my own money. So what
Right.
happened was, when I finished my BSc, which I did, my parents started looking out, and that looking out is that long process, right? Of and now it was not an age of internet, so you have those exchange of whatever, letters, and then seeing and all of that. So I just sneaked in and told my father that there is this computer course, because it was the boom, right? And everybody had said that if you do a computer course, you get great job and you get great
Yes.
salaries. So I just asked my father, can I do this course? So NIIT was one of the top institutes then,
Yes. Yes.
and he said, okay, he would never say no to me. He said, okay, go ahead and do the course, but just remember that if we are able to find this groom for you, and if the groom says that you should not study further,
Hmm.
then you kind of have to stop.
Right.
I said, okay, right? And I think that's the message that I do want to tell everyone, that you have to kind of put your point across, but everything doesn't have to be rebelling, and everything doesn't have to be a fight. Why did I say okay? Because it was an opportunity that I was getting. So resources were very scarce for me, right? For example, I probably would never have gotten the opportunity to study beyond graduation, and here was someone saying, okay, go ahead, you will
Right.
stop when I ask you to stop, or somebody asks you to stop. So I said, it's
Right.
okay. At least let me start. When that stop happens, let me look at it, right?
Right. Right.
And I went and I enrolled for a 4 semester course, which was a 2 year course. And I did the first and second semester. When I was doing the second semester, I started the third semester in parallel, because, again, all hatke decisions. Everybody told me,
Right.
you're doing two and three in parallel, you will mess up with both. You will fail in
Right.
both. All my
Right.
peers. But I said, no, I will manage, because I was in a hurry. I
You were
wanted
in
to
a
complete
hurry.
that.
Yes. Yes.
And when I was in the third semester, Sonata, the company where I first started working, came and picked some of us for contract assignments.
Right.
And the thing was that we had to work in shifts,
Right.
because, again, resources were scarce even for companies. So they had very limited number of computers. So they said, we will put two people on one computer, so two shifts, morning one shift, and then afternoon somebody else will use the same computer.
Hmm.
Many of my batchmates actually paused their studies, because it was a great opportunity, 3 months contract. They said, let's do our best, and maybe it will become permanent after 3 months. But I did not want to do that, because for me, getting the opportunity to study was, the ultimate thing. But I did not want to
Right.
let go of the job also.
Right.
So I actually spoke at work, and they allocated a dedicated computer for me. They said, come in
Right.
and do whenever, as long as you finish the work in that week, like the week's work by that Sunday. And it
Right.
should be good quality and all of that. So they made that exception for me. So I really worked hard. So second semester, third semester, and then I had fourth semester also to complete, and this 8-hour job at Sonata. The 3-month contract actually extended to 6 months and then 9 months. And at the end of ninth month, I had finished my NIT studies. All the
Wow.
other candidates had
Amazing.
paused their course, right?
Right.
And never
Right.
get to it. And all
Right.
of us got permanent employment at Sonata. So
Right.
that's how my career, kind of started. Of course, there was no groom in sight. My parents are still looking around because of that difficult condition I had stipulated, right? In India, the groom has
In
to be in
India.
India, which
Yes.
they were
Yes.
struggling to find. And then I sneaked in another condition. I said, um, can you just, find someone who's okay with me working? All right. And my father had by then seen the passion that I had for the work, how I
Right.
was enjoying it, and of course the
Right.
salaries that we were bringing in. So he said,
Right.
"Okay, let's tweak that search criteria." And
Right.
it took him a long time. It took him 4 good years to find the groom by which I had joined my second company also. But
Right.
eventually all went well. I'm married for the last 26 years,
Right.
and yeah, I kept thinking I may have to stop working when I have a child, or something like that. But
Right.
what I want to tell the audience, which Sheryl Sandberg says, and largely to women, but to
Right.
everyone, in her book Lean In, she says, don't leave before you leave. All of us
Right.
in our minds think that, oh, if that happens, then I won't be able to do it. So you don't even try it, right? Like, if the groom comes and says, don't study, but I said, no, it's okay. When that happens, we'll figure it out. So you
Right.
get on and then deal with that whatever eventuality whenever that happens. Uh,
Right.
I've
Right.
continued working 25 years non-stop in my corporate career. And then, of course, I've chosen a very different path in terms of heading a not-for-profit foundation, went and worked in academia. And of course, today I freelance and do a lot of training sessions. I do a lot of voluntary pro bono work, and do a lot of writing. There's a book that's going to happen soon. So the point is that, one, be very, very clear about what you want to do and go
Yes.
after it. Don't think of, and your show is called Limitless. Don't think of everything that will limit you, the limiting beliefs. That's what kind of stops
Yes.
us from really
Yes.
achieving anything. And opportunities will come your way. If not, create your own opportunities like I have over the period of time in all these years, and you will reach where you want to reach, or beyond what you ever envisaged for.
Absolutely, absolutely. Amazing example, Neerja, because people keep cribbing and crying for opportunities, but they don't even realize, the opportunity knocks at their doors. They don't even actually recognize the opportunities so many times because of all these limiting beliefs and so many such societal conditioning factors. But you have created opportunities for yourself. Forget about even the recognizing the opportunity, but actually creating the opportunity with the kind of attitude you had about
True.
helping others, or being proactive and reaching out to people. So we will also talk about that, but before that, I know that you are about to launch your book, your first book, which is you have arrived. So when and what made you actually feel that you had arrived, and what was the reason behind it?
Okay. Makes me think, because there are many aha moments in our lives, right? So, if you were to ask me when for the very first time, I may not recollect. But let me narrate one of the incidents where I really felt, truly felt, that yeah,
Right.
this is where I have arrived. So I was, after 16 years in an organization, I had
Mm-hmm.
moved to another company, and you know when you are in an organization for this long, for 16 years, everybody knows you and they know
Mm-hmm.
about your capabilities, and you've built your visibility and all of that.
Right.
But when I moved to this other organization, which I think was at least 30 times bigger than the previous organization in terms of just the number of employees, not to talk about
Right.
the kind of work they were doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in a couple of years of me being in that organization, there was this every year they would run a cohort of women who they believed were had the potential to become senior leaders in that organization. So they would
Mm-hmm.
handpick these women leaders
Mm-hmm.
across the globe because it was a global organization.
Right.
Many applications that would go in, the business unit heads would put out, their applications, and I'm sure there was a selection committee, and there was a lot of, beating up and cross questioning that would happen because you couldn't have too many people. So
Right.
I got selected for that cohort within 2 3 years of my being in that organization. And at that point in time, I was actually working inside a client's office. So you know how it happens when you're working inside a client's office, nobody will even know you. Your parent company will not even know you. You almost become like, this client's team member and the
Yes,
client's
yes.
employee. Okay.
True.
So that way also nobody knew me. And I was very new in the organization. So no past of mine was known to anybody.
Right. Right.
In that cohort of 11, I was one of the 11. Every other woman leader was at least 15 years experienced within this organization. So, which means they already had built some credibility and visibility. There were some who were even 25 years of experience in that
Wow.
organization, and I was
Amazing.
just years, I think, into that organization. And that's when I realized that despite all of that, of course, my business unit head would have really put through a strong case. But what supported the case was who I was and the work that I did and the potential that I showed, which is when I truly felt very proud about myself. And like you said, I felt I had arrived, that I had it in me and the world sees it in me. Yeah, so that's what
Wonderful.
that comes in my mind.
Great, great. Thank you so much for sharing. That also kind of, makes us understand that the kind of work ethics that we display, the kind of networking that we do, and we will also, I want to definitely know because I've heard you talk about networking, and the world generally talks about networking in a very different way, and I really heard you talk about it in a very beautiful way. So why don't you actually share it with us as to what networking to you is all about?
Sure, sure. Um, so let me start with the definition of networking. I
Sure.
will keep this very simple, like
Yes.
because everything about me is simple and everything that I say is simple, so that people get it.
Right.
Very short definition of networking is it is all about helping others. Full stop. Now, it's a very contrarian view, right? Because people say that you will get opportunities when you are well networked and, hence you to meet the kind of people who can probably refer you and, show you those opportunities. So, which makes people think that, okay, who among these 100 people should I really connect with and meet with and speak with? And who can actually help me with my next job or opportunity or whatever? But I'm really telling you the very opposite. It is not about who can do anything for you. It is about what you can do for someone or what you can do for everyone who's around you. So it is about having that intention of understanding the other person and being very authentic about that understanding. Not because I'm giving a definition, right? But being very authentic. So when I meet Anshu, I'm going to really authentically try and understand who Anshu is and what she wants in terms of the life, in terms of her career, in terms of whatever. Are there any challenges that she has today with whatever she's aspiring for? And can
Mm-hmm.
I help her in any way? When you start building relationships with people, keeping this in mind, you will see how beautiful networking. You will want to do more of it, and things will keep
Mm-hmm.
coming back to you. And I always say that you cannot dig a well when you're thirsty. So you got
Right.
to get from now if you've not already started. Okay, even when you don't have any need for that water, you need to start digging that well. So you need to start looking at people, connecting with them and seeing how you can be of use to them. Like for example, it was Ritu Malhotra who referred me to this show. Now, who
Right.
is Ritu? I met her on this community called Shimantra, where there
Mm-hmm.
are many other women solopreneurs like me and like Ritu. Now
Mm-hmm.
she's helped me out without expecting anything out of it, right? She just told
Right.
Anshu, I think the next guest
Right.
that you look at is Neeraja. Now, what is
Right.
she getting out of it? Nothing. Except for the fact that she probably knows and thinks that I have some valuable advice that I can give for the audience. And that
Yes.
definitely needs to be shared.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, in this community of women solopreneurs, while most of us have the same kind of services, most of us are coaches, we probably are into the training industry, we facilitate
Right.
workshops and all of that, and hence
Right.
we would really be competitors in some way. I have seen the best of collaborations, best of referrals, exchange of learning, giving advice, and so much more, absolutely for no monetary gain. And
Right.
in return, each of us is better off than when we joined this community in terms of mindsets, in terms of knowledge, in terms of customers, and eventually finances. Eventually, it will
Right.
happen. But the
Yes.
mindset that we all have is the mindset of giving authentically and nurturing that relationship. So
Amazing.
that's what networking is. Not only for me, but in real sense.
In real sense, absolutely. I mean, I relate so much well to this because when people say that, your net worth is equal to your network, they only talk about it's more about, what I can get out of people from my network. That's the feeling that they build in everyone, that create a network and keep thinking, what you can get out of them. But that is exactly the opposite of what it should be. When
Absolutely.
you are giving out, you will get back eventually. Universe has a way of giving you back
True,
whatever
true.
you give out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the point is that even if over a period of time you did not get something from that person, but you feel that there is some way that person can help you, you can then ask, right? So your going in position cannot be, let me ask. Oh, I met
Yes.
Anshu, let me ask her for two things. That is
Yes.
not the way you build, relationship.
Right.
You give to
Absolutely.
Anshu, Anshu will, then see how she can help Nirja out and all of that. And at some
Yes.
point in time, opportunities will just come your way. But if it
Yes.
doesn't, once you've built that deeper bond and relationship, you can then ask. If you think that Anshu is the right person who can give you this or can refer you, you can definitely
Yes.
ask, why not? But the starting point is about giving.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So another question I have is, I mean, we just spoke about, how you took the decision of, completing your studies and then continuing with your work, and you took it one small decision, one small step at a time. It was not like, going out all berserk in one go and saying that no, I have to study, I have to work, and I'm not going to get married now. It was not like that. It's so beautiful. I mean, that's the mistake we all do in our
Right.
lives, We just try to be very, very revolutionary, or we try to revolt and get everything at one stretch, and then we end up losing maybe everything. But then there are women I know who do not want to have really, a career kind of a thing. Maybe, yeah, maybe every woman wants to have her money in some way or the other, but maybe it's not in the form of, necessarily doing a job or a business. There's some women are happy, doing some other kind of stuff and just having their own money. So basically the question that I'm trying to ask you, Nirja, is when we talk about women and their careers, you also, totally took care of jobs for her for about 18 months. And so these kind of women, are they lacking in ambition, or do you think that they are really missing out something in life if they are not wanting to work, or if they are not wanting to have any like big businesses? They are happy with some small stuff. And what do you have to say about those women who really don't aspire for like too much of their own?
Sure. So I again say that one must do what they want to, right? So just because the rest of the world is working, but if there is a lady who wants to be a homemaker, and I will say homemaker is also a big responsibility. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's not a small thing. So you must do what you want to. That's definitely the going, that's definitely the way one must look at life.
Right.
However, there is one thing which is very important for everyone,
Hmm.
be it a man or a woman, whatever age group you are at, whatever your marital status is, whichever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that is financial independence. That means each person should have their own money, which they should be able to control themselves. And that is financial independence, right? To be able to spend their money, to be able to save their money, to be able to gift. Now, am I saying that everyone who has a career is financially independent? Not really. Because the definition is not that you're earning. The definition is that you are controlling your finances and not
Right.
someone else is. So there are many
Right.
who actually work and earn, but the finances are managed by someone else, right?
Right.
And that is not financial independence.
Yes.
So, the money could come to this, and we are speaking about women, so let's talk about the money could come to her from, her parents or her husband or her siblings, and so she has the money and
Right.
she's probably managing it. So yeah, she's financially independent. But what if that were to dry up? So she should have a way to earn it for herself and
Right.
not depending on someone else to keep giving that money, even if whoever that person is very close to her and loves her a lot. And
Hmm.
that is why I urge every woman to work. That financial independence is the need and is something that every person should keep in the top of their mind. Now, um, there's a difference between working and having a career.
Right.
Right? There are many, who say, okay, fine, let I have a few hours every day, so let me keep myself productive and I will also earn some money. Like my mindset was
Right.
also like that when I started, right? I wanted to earn a little bit for myself.
Yes.
Now, is this mindset limiting herself? And hence certain questions that she needs to ask. Is the
Mm-hmm.
mindset not being competitive? She just wants to kind of, be quiet and not get into the arena of competition. Or is
Mm-hmm.
the mindset about not striving to be better than who she is today? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm comfortable today. Why should I even try doing something better?
Hmm.
Speak about self doubt. We speak about the imposter syndrome, right?
Yes.
And we already
Yes.
spoke about leaving before you really have to leave the job. You think, oh, I will have a child, and when the child comes, then this kind of a project will be very difficult for me. So let me not even put my hand up today itself. Let me do something very simple and, which will kind of enable me whenever that happens. So
Mm-hmm.
most times, these mindsets make a woman choose one over the other and limit herself. And if that's what I want the woman to, think, why is it that she decided to be just a homemaker? Are these
Yes.
some of the mindsets?
Right.
And today we are again talking about being limitless. So
Right.
actually, when someone has a career, it
Mm-hmm.
opens up their minds to the limitless possibilities that exist.
Yes. Yes. So
Now,
true.
the word ambition that you also mentioned, right? They may is
Huh.
it that they are not very ambitious. Now, ambition is
Right.
very personal.
Yes.
Ambition doesn't mean that you have to become the CEO of a company. Even
Yes.
running a household very effectively and efficiently is also an ambition, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, but the point that I'm trying to talk about financial independence, regardless of gender, age, let me narrate a
Mm-hmm.
couple of stories which are real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so our family was impacted by COVID during the second wave in the month of April, when many of the cities were in a big mess with the hospitals not having beds, etc. Right?
Right. Right.
So my daughter and my husband were impacted. My daughter recovered in a couple of days at home, but my husband had to be hospitalized. He was there for 13 days,
Mm-hmm.
and we were not sure which way it would go. The doctors were not telling us. I
Hmm.
stayed with him in the hospital. Thankfully, that particular hospital allowed attenders. And I stayed
Mm-hmm.
with him because I felt that he needed that moral support to will himself to fight it out. Because at the end of the day, it was the willpower to fight it. The hospital and
Mm-hmm.
doctor will do what they can in terms of pumping medicines and stuff like that. But the way to overcome is the will to fight it out, right?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
was there with him. And throughout, the thought that came to my mind was that my 19-year daughter had no clue about our finances, right?
Right.
if something were to happen to both of us, because both of us were sitting in the
Mm-hmm.
COVID ward,
Right.
I don't even have to tell you what questions would go into our mind that time, right? Because she has no
Yes.
clue about our finances. So, however well we
Right.
put ourselves and earn money and saved money, this girl doesn't know anything. What is she going to go about doing in her life? I've also heard this story about some parents who spent all their savings on their children, education, marriage, and all of that. And then they have to depend on those children for the rest of their lives. So even if the children take care of them, there's always this feeling of, you know, I have to ask them. I can't just go about doing whatever I feel. So age, gender, etc. doesn't matter. Financial independence matters. And that is why I would urge everyone, including that woman who is happy and ambitious about being the best homemaker and keeping the home in the best of, ways, definitely, but also to primarily look at jobs and careers.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, it can be something where, she works from home itself. There are a lot of women who work from home, who make some kind of business from home, and, they cater to the people outside, doing things from home itself. But of course, I
There are
totally agree with you.
plenty of avenues. It's here.
Yes, yes, it's
Pros and
all
cons
here.
like this, then
Yes,
you have 100 reasons for not doing things, right?
yes,
So don't
yes.
give yourselves reasons and excuses, but just open it up a little bit and you see what comes your way.
Absolutely. I mean, a couple of things that I picked up from your answer was one thing is financial independence is very, very important. No doubts about it. I mean, you can't step out of your house if you don't have penny in your pocket. To
That's
even step out, you need money. And the second is, of course, you can't be just in that simple comfort zone where you are not progressing, because ultimately the purpose of our life is to progress as a human being,
right.
raise our consciousness levels, progress ourselves, and that progress cannot happen if we are not vying for bigger goals.
True.
If we are
Very.
just happy in the same situation, same environment, not looking for any kind of progress, then yeah, how are we going to get better? Thank you so much, that was really valuable.
and
So
and then you may say that, okay, I'm happy here, let me be here, but you know what happens, the rest of the world goes ahead of you, and
yes,
then when pandemics like COVID happen,
yes,
you don't know, how to kind of deal with that situation. Then you're left far
absolutely,
behind. Then you're left far behind, right? Then to
yes,
start
yes,
from that, I have had, I've heard stories of how many women got impacted because their sole breadwinner passed away due to COVID,
yes, yes,
and then they didn't even know what was the bank account number.
yes,
So
yes,
that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter whatever space you are in, but it is
yeah.
extremely important for you to be financially independent.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. So, you just spoke about, that your life is also kind of intertwined around these stories, and you yourself do a lot of stories, and that's the way you conduct. So, what I have heard you talk about, that storytelling is very important in personal branding as well. So please, share some insights on, what you have to say about that.
Sure. So before I go into, storytelling for personal branding, let's understand personal branding itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all understand product brands. We have our
Right.
favorite brands and the most hated ones. So why do some brands become favorites and some go on the hated list, right? They have some
Mm-hmm.
characteristics. But
Right.
beyond that, there is a recall factor. So if we were to
Right.
look at, say, mobile phone brands, there is Apple, and then there are many Android phones. And
Right.
each person, when someone speaks about just a mobile phone as an example, they will visualize a particular phone brand. You will think of something else, I will think of something else.
Yes.
Or a car brand, or a clothes brand, bags, whatever you look at it. Now, a salesman will not really have to sell that product brand if people already know about it. Right? He doesn't have to say, hey, how good it is, how good it is, how good it is. And that's branding. That's the reason for why a product to establish that brand. Similarly, people also have brands. Okay. What is the recall factor for a person? So you
Mm-hmm.
introduced me in the very beginning saying, Neeraja, you're so simple. And many people attribute that to me. Now, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, that simple is not my brand, but it is a brand
Right.
characteristic of brand Neeraja,
Right.
right?
Right.
People might recall me for many different things. So I remember being invited to be a moderator at a roundtable discussion on diversity and
Mm-hmm.
inclusion, which had panelists, very, very senior leaders as panelists, and they were from across industries. I
Mm-hmm.
did not know some of them. However, as I stepped into that room, the first thing that the person who invited me for this event to actually do the moderation said this. She said,
Mm-hmm.
if there is anything about diversity and inclusion, the first person that comes to my mind is Neeraja Ganesh. And that's why I invited you to moderate it. And though I didn't know many people there personally, I had heard of some of them before itself. How come? It was their brand presence. And some of them had already heard of me before. It is because of my brand presence. So, my simplicity, my authenticity, my knowledge of the subject, etc., are the characteristics which someone prefers me as the moderator to others. Because there might be many others who are experts in the DNI space.
Right.
But characteristic of this brand Neeraja, who's associated with BNI, which are maybe all those things that I spoke about, is what attracts people to me, and hence I get the opportunity.
Right.
Just like what attracts someone to an Apple versus a Samsung.
Right.
All right. So that's branding. Now
Right.
we all need to nurture this personal brand. I will
Right.
never say you to create a personal brand because you always have a personal brand with you because of the way you conduct yourself, because of the way you speak and behave. A perspective of the brand is already present for everyone in this world.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Now, you got to nurture it to ensure that it becomes more visible and it
Mm-hmm.
continues to showcase what you want to be remembered for.
Right.
Correct. Now, if you realize that the brand image that you have somehow created for yourself is not what you want to be known for, then you have
Right.
to work on, changing and correcting that. And hence it becomes all the very important for us that we have to always keep that in mind. All right. So whenever you do anything, whenever you find opportunities to showcase it, you got to
Mm-hmm.
showcase that brand.
Right.
Now, how do products showcase their brands? Ads, it's a very simple thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Keep seeing ads about a particular kind of a mobile phone, a particular kind of a car, and you kind of recall that next time.
Yes,
Similarly, it's
absolutely.
important
Mm-hmm.
for all of us to showcase our personal brand. Now, it is a big challenge to talk about ourselves and to say, "Hey, I'm good at this." And people may not even want to listen to if you're continuously saying, "I'm great at this, I'm great at this."
Right.
A tool that enables this is storytelling. So all the answers that I gave to you till now, I supplemented it with stories, right? From the very beginning, whether I spoke about my school and the principal, or I spoke about the organization that chose me for the leadership program, to the stories of financial independence, while I gave some lessons through it, but I think
Mm-hmm.
two things must have happened with all these stories that I narrated. One, the concepts must have gotten very clear.
Yes.
Two, people are interested in listening to stories.
Yes.
So when you take on a storytelling mode to kind of showcase your brand, people will be interested in listening to you and they will
Yes.
also see who you are and what brand you stand for. Hence, I really advocate storytelling as a tool for any occasion, not only for personal branding. Any kind of a communication that you do, whether it is at home, whether it is outside the community,
Mm-hmm.
use storytelling as a tool for communication, but definitely a tool for showcasing your personal brand. And one of the
Yes.
places where you can showcase your personal brand is on social media today, correct?
Absolutely.
Fantastic platform to nurture and showcase your brand. So
Yes.
the style of conversation that you do on social media, which is all the posts that you put out and all of that,
Right.
also need to be in a storytelling mode. Otherwise, why
Right.
will someone look at your post when they're inundated with 100 other posts? Yours has to
Yes.
stand out, and that will
Yes.
stand out only when the mode of conversation on the social media is also storytelling.
Yes. Amazing. Amazing. Yes. You're right in saying that. So, Nirja, also another thing is, I mean, when you were with Jobs with her, I'm sorry, Jobs for her. So, could you tell a little more? Because we are also talking about women and their careers. So, what does exactly Jobs for Her stand for, and how does it help women with their careers?
Okay. So there are two organizations that I will speak about, and there are plenty. And I would really urge everyone to really go all out and look out at all these platforms and portals that have come up in the recent years that help
Mm-hmm.
women. So Jobs for Her was started by this lady. Her name is Neha Bagaria,
Mm-hmm.
about 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
to help women on a career break restart their careers.
Right, right.
Because I think it must have started in 2016, so 5 years ago, or maybe in 2015. At that point in time, this concept of hiring a woman on a career break itself was not there. It was very
Yes,
new, and the
yes.
women used to struggle. So by starting such a platform and a portal, one, it enabled organizations to start looking at this talent pool very differently,
Mm-hmm.
and then start posting jobs exclusively for women on a career break. And
Mm-hmm.
also then it also allowed this portal to say help reskill the woman, because you have taken a break, so maybe there are certain skills that you need to polish up on,
Mm-hmm.
and get mentored. Also be part of a community of like-minded women, others also who are on a break, and helps. It really helps when you are part of a community. You can discuss with each other and help out each other. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what Jobs for Her was when it started. Over the years, now they are open to all women. So their
Right.
tagline is also Start, Restart, Rise, which means that a woman who's just starting her career,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fresh out of college, but say she's completed her education 15 years ago but never worked. But now she
Right.
wants to start. So even late starters, or women who
Mm-hmm.
are on a break and want to restart, and women who are in careers and are looking to rise in their careers, they cater to all of them. So do look up
Right.
that portal, and you will see the kinds of resources that are available for you to explore and make use of. The other platform that I'm associated with is called Aspire for Her, which
Mm-hmm.
was started recently in 2020. Initially, so it was started by Madhura Das Gupta Sinha. She's an ex-banker, and
Mm-hmm.
started to help girls in the age group of 18 to 25 building a mindset of one intentional careers. So what happens
Mm-hmm.
largely is like I also did, right? Okay, I got a job,
Mm-hmm.
got into it. Let's see where it takes me. And when the
Right.
mentality is with, let's see where it takes me, what can also happen is at the very first hurdle that you come across, the very first
Mm-hmm.
challenge that you come across, you may decide, okay, let me not go ahead with it. I'm anyways comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with the rest of it. So let me quit,
Mm-hmm.
or let me be happy where I am and not really put myself out there. So
Mm-hmm.
mindsets are actually created in this age group, in this vulnerable age group of 18 to 25, when you are in college and just stepping into work. So she wanted
Mm-hmm.
to use this platform to build the mindsets to have intentional careers and be financially independent for this community. But over the
Right.
last 18 plus months that they have been around, she's gone beyond, this platform has gone beyond this college or fresher community, and they have communities
Mm-hmm.
to help women on a career break. They have a community for women entrepreneurs. They have a community
Mm-hmm.
for women who were impacted by COVID, because their spouses or the breadwinners passed away. So it's called Not
Mm-hmm.
Alone. They've really
Uh-huh.
helped women in terms of, one, of course, emotional support, counseling, but also look at HR legal help to get
Mm-hmm.
whatever support they need to get from the spouses or the father's organization, and then
Mm-hmm.
to skill them and see that they are able to be job ready. They
Mm-hmm.
have a community for women in banking technologies. The latest new community is for women who want to aspire to be in technology. You don't
Okay.
have to be a technology person. You can be a non-tech person, but we all know that technology is the way to go ahead. So there's this community which enables you to become a tech literate person, and
Mm-hmm.
much more that they are doing. So, and I can name so many more platforms because I'm associated with many as a mentor, and I keep giving these talks on a variety of
Right.
platforms. But what I want to tell
Right.
people is there's no dearth of resources. So don't
Right.
say, oh, I don't know where to go. It's there, on your fingertips. On your laptop, go Google and say platforms that help women. I already named two, Jobs for Her and Aspire for Her. And you will find more than enough resources to help you move into the direction that you wish for. All is that is needed is a mindset, an
Yes.
ambition and an aspiration, and then the action that you need to take to reach
Yes. Yes. So true. So true. No matter how much resource is available, the person who has to use that resource is you.
that. Correct.
So that action finally definitely matters. I mean, no matter how much gyan is given to you, end
Correct.
of the day, how much you implement that gyan in your life will take you forward.
True.
So, yes, that's so true. So, now, do you think that, we oftentimes, I mean, it's a very favorite phrase that's used in the modern world is about glass ceilings. And mostly glass ceilings are always used for women. So, but I sometimes think, because I am not a feminist at all, I'm not a hardcore feminist. I'm a person who stands for, complementary, both men and women complementing each other on every forefront. I mean, I'm not a person who will ever stand in that negative feminine space. So I always think that, is the glass ceiling really, does it exist only for women? Or, I mean, is it not there for the men as well? Or maybe, yeah, it might be possible that it's not so obvious, because we are always talking about women empowerment and, the glass ceiling for women. We are always talking in that perspective. So are we maybe failing to see that it's there and we are not being able to observe it? I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Nirja?
Sure. So, what is a glass ceiling, right? So, if you
Yeah.
Google and you'll get a definition, it will say it is an invisible barrier that prevents someone from rising beyond a certain level in the hierarchy.
Yes.
And it is said more for women, correct?
Yes.
But yes, the phenomenon, if I may call that, could exist for anyone. Now, the
Yes.
question is, does it really exist? Does a glass ceiling really exist, right? So, I want people to reflect on what is their ambition. And I say, underline the word there. So, what is your ambition, Anshu? What is Neeraja's ambition? Not what everybody else's ambition is, not what they believe this is the way to grow in someone's careers. These are the trajectories which someone has to take to get to the path of leadership, because everyone else grew that way. Others have been successful because they have reached a particular point in their careers, and this is how they did it, so I also have to do it. Okay, and that's why I'm saying,
Right.
what is your ambition, your
Right.
personal ambition? So again, I
Absolutely.
have a story of this man that I was coaching last year. He
Mm-hmm.
came to me saying he wanted to find a job within 6 months. And
Mm-hmm.
when I probed him deeper, it came out that the role that he was in was probably going to become redundant, and there might
Mm-hmm.
not be any other role for him in the organization in the next 6 months. So he
Mm-hmm.
was looking to find a job. Now, he was in this company for many, many years. Okay. So I started asking him to reflect on what kind of roles he would like to go for, what kind
Mm-hmm.
of organizations he would like to work in. And I also suggested to him, while it's a coaching, a call, but I sometimes also mentor. I kind of, tell people that there are certain things that you need to do. So I suggested that he should start networking, both
Mm-hmm.
within and outside the organization, because for all you know, with networking and creating your own visibility, even within the organization, maybe some role might come your way. So
Mm-hmm.
I told him that he needs to do these things. Now, his ambition at that point in time was very limited. What was that? He wanted another job because in a few months he might be out of a job. That's all his ambition is. He's not even thought about what is my next role, what is the kind of an organization I should work for. When I started
Right.
asking him these questions, and when he said, okay, I think I need a techno functional role, but is he equipped for a techno functional role? He was not. Then when I probed, he said, I want to go into, say, fintech, startups. But does he even know what kind of roles and what kind of people they hire, what kind of experiences they hire? And then he realized he was, in terms of number of years of experience, he was beyond what these startups and new companies were looking at. but the number doesn't define anything, right? I could be
Right.
25 years of experience, but what is the content that I have with 25
Yes.
years that matters, which he was
Yes.
not having.
Right.
But his attitude was that, oh, I just want to get another job,
That's all.
right? So in the next coaching call, he actually told me, you know what, even if I don't have a job for the next 6 months, I can survive. I have that money. So his pace had slackened. And by the time I had the third call, he said somehow his role got extended for a few more months. So he's now not keen on finding another job.
Right.
Now, one can say he has reached a glass ceiling in this company. He already had
Yes.
was, and now again he's reached the glass ceiling.
Right.
And if a woman also has a similar mindset and an
Yes.
attitude, then
Yes.
you can call she has also reached the glass ceiling. So
Yes.
the only question that I always ask people to reflect on when they start talking about glass ceilings is, what is your ambition?
Yes.
There is fire in your belly. Like Vaishali Kasture, a senior leader at AWS, Amazon Web Services, she asks, how badly do you want something? That will determine whether you really come across a glass ceiling or even a real ceiling. Forget glass. It could be made of concrete also. But if it is your own ambition, you
Yes.
want to reach there, you will reach there, you will break everything. So that's why
Yes.
in the upcoming book, which I have titled You Have Arrived, No Glass
Right.
Ceiling, No Broken Rungs, No Glass Cliffs, I deal with topics around mindsets.
Yes.
Mindset of creating your own opportunities, mindset of believing in yourselves, a
Yes.
mindset of acting in the now and not thinking
Yes.
of, okay, maybe the next month I will do it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
without really answering your question, it's for people to decide whether a glass ceiling exists for men, for women, or for themselves.
Yes. True. And the reason I asked this question, Neeraja, was because I mean it's become a very cliched thing which we use mostly for women.
Correct.
I don't know why, because today there is no dearth of, I mean, women are definitely, I won't agree if people say that, being a woman, I was not given that opportunity. Generally, nowadays, that doesn't happen. If a woman is skilled enough, if she has the right attitude, she has the opportunity.
Yeah.
Most
So
of the time.
what happens is the self-doubt kills them. Oh,
Yes,
I'm not yet there, because they want to be perfectionists. They want to be like
yes,
120% ready before putting up their hand.
yes,
And the men
yes,
also may have self-doubt, but if they're
yes,
60% ready, they'll say, hey, I am the person for you. I will figure it
yes,
out along the way. So what happens is,
right,
in that journey of making it 100 and 120%, the
yes,
woman lost that opportunity. The man went, or maybe another woman went and grabbed that. So now for
yes.
the next opportunity, again, she is not at 100%. She is always catching up on something. So those
Yes,
are the reasons. It's mindset. It's here. The ceiling is
yes,
here,
yes,
right? Everything is
yes,
there. And hence, I really tell women, forget that. I mean, even I have an imposter syndrome. Like all of us will have.
yes,
Even before I came to this show, I'm sure even if I've spoken at 100 places, the imposter will tell me, you really think you can pull this off? You think you are qualified enough for it? And I have to just calm the imposter down and say, my favorite question is, what is the worst that can happen? So I might just blabber some nonsense, or I may lose my voice because I'm
yes,
nervous, and you'll have to just pull the plug. You'll have to say, okay, sorry, viewers, due to some reason, we are not able to continue. Right? That's the worst.
right,
It's not
yes,
going to kill me. It's not going to kill
yes,
me. So, can we just ask that question to ourselves and then
yes.
take a little bit of courage and go ahead and plunge in and see what can happen? And definitely things can happen.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Mindset is the biggest thing. I think that is the only glass ceiling. If we talk about a glass ceiling, it's
True.
us ourselves who are either the limiting factors or the limitless factors. I think there
That's
is nothing else that comes above that.
true. Very
As
true.
you said, how much fire I have in my belly. Even if it is not a glass ceiling, it's a concrete ceiling, also, I will break it
That's
and
true.
I will make sure I fly out of it. So, so true. So now, what are the some of the important, some of the very? I know you have learned a lot of lessons with every small decision, every big decision that you make in your life, and that has actually kept you in good stead. So please share with us some of the very important lessons that you learned throughout the journey in your life, and which have actually, kept you in good stead?
Sure. So I will talk about three main things, right? One is prioritize. uh, be it, you want to strike a work life balance which never exists, but I kind of call it a more integrated work life,
Mm-hmm.
or what enables you to take certain decisions, priorities
Mm-hmm.
always help. I
Mm-hmm.
have lived my life based on my priorities. So again, I will narrate a story. So there was a point in time in one of the companies that I worked, and I'd worked for many
Mm-hmm.
years in the company, when I felt extremely disappointed with certain happenings, certain things that
Mm-hmm.
happened to me in terms of the role that I was in. So
Right.
I set up a meeting with the managing director. Now, I didn't know him personally, and he
Mm-hmm.
was not either aware of someone like me existing in the organization. But I
Mm-hmm.
met him and I narrated, the feeling that I was going through because of whatever had happened to me, and that I wanted to leave this organization. So he asked me a question: why did I stay on in this organization for so many years? Had I never felt disappointed early? Was it always good? And of course, things will always be up and down. There will always be goods and bads, highs and lows. So I said, yes, it was, there were times when I was disappointed. Then he asked me, why did I continue to stay in the organization till then? And he asked me to reflect on that question and
Mm-hmm.
come back to him the next day. And he said, don't become emotional, but deep reflection in terms of
Mm-hmm.
why. And if at the end of that, if I still wanted to leave the organization, he would help me get another job. But if I
Right.
chose to stay back, he would see how to correct the wrong that was done to me. But
Right.
he wanted me to do the deep reflection so that I could reflect on my priorities all through those years, because of which I stayed on here. And that reflection, of course, told me that I wanted, sufficient time at home for my family, which this organization was able to provide, and hence I had stayed on. Okay. So the next day, I kind of, when I met him and I was telling him these things, he said, what is the guarantee that the new organization that you go to can help you meet that priority of yours? Whether they will be able to provide those, whether you will get from that work culture some time for you and your family. And what is the guarantee that such a thing that happened here will not happen again there? Okay. So he told me, his own story. He quit from a very high profile, challenging job role and company to work at another company where the work was not very challenging, but it gave him time with his family. And he used to be
Mm-hmm.
quite disappointed on many days when he went back from work because, it was not a very exciting kind of a job for him.
Right.
On those days, he would open up his cupboard and pull out one small, chit that he had made where he had listed his priorities. And that
Okay.
priority list had the top priority as family time.
Okay.
And he had chosen this particular job, which was not very exciting and challenging, but it gave him family time. So then he
Right.
felt better that, oh, there is a reason for me to be in this job, which is priority number one. And he felt better for the rest of the day and for the next day and a few days. So prioritization is so very important. That's one thing.
Right.
The
Right.
second thing I will say is speak up. Like I was going through something and I spoke up to the managing director, even though I didn't know him. Correct?
Right.
So, very important for you to speak up, be it at home, be it at work, or in the community that you are. Don't
Mm-hmm.
assume or expect everyone to know what's in your mind. So, speak up even if you happen to have a completely opposite point of view. In fact, I think it is then that you need to speak up. So I transformed from being this meek, timid, shy girl into this confident, assertive person and leader when I, for the very first time, spoke up in an organization, and it was heard by the management. And it
Right.
led to some decisions being taken in that organization, which eventually had huge benefits for them. So you have to speak up. And the third thing that I will say is stay true to yourself and your values. Again, this is
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, at home, at work, in the larger community.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I will, narrate a story, and this time it's a story of my daughter. She
Mm-hmm.
works at Aspire for her, this one of the organizations that I spoke about. She's studying and she's working.
Wow.
Um, I also wear many hats at this organization, Aspire for Her. So I'm a mentor. I'm a consultant with them, and I'm a good friend of the founder.
Right.
And of course, with my daughter also, I wear many hats. So I'm a mother for sure, and I could be a mentor with her. I'm a senior leader who aspire for her. I could be her peer in certain projects and so on, right?
Right.
Now, when Aspire for Her was launching one of their communities, they had invited everyone who had signed up for that community for a
Mm-hmm.
closed door meeting. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
was very keen to have one of my friends to be part of that community. I'd also
Mm-hmm.
sent her the sign up details. Now, this closed door meeting was on a Sunday, and the invite had gone a day before. So I
Mm-hmm.
was not very sure if my friend had already registered and hence got the invite. Now, I tried to get her on the phone, but I could not get her. So I just asked my daughter because she had access to the database of all the members who are part of this community. And she knows my friend also very well. She calls her auntie and all of that because, long term association. I said, is that auntie's name there in that list? Right? Then I'll know that the invite has gone and then, so she may turn up for it.
Right. Right.
My daughter said, I'm sorry, we cannot disclose the database details to anyone. And she told this to me, who could be the mother, who could be a mentor of that organization, who could be a senior leader, who could be her peer, who could be anybody, right? But she said, these are our values. We do not disclose the database details to anyone, including you. So, the values of the organization and the values with which she has grown up, which is,
Right.
family values, she must have, imbibed them through what she has seen in the family.
Right.
What is making her behave and work like this? And this will take her very, very far and very, very long in her life.
Yes.
So I really will say that you have to be yourself, stay true to yourselves, and
Yes.
ensure that you always follow your values.
Amazing. Amazing. So you just spoke about leadership. You just spoke that, yeah, leaders have to have certain values. So, what is leadership in the first place? And what are the values the leader should possess?
Sure. So, a leader is not a boss. Let me first start there. Because everybody thinks, oh my God, he or she is my boss, correct?
Yes, yes.
A leader has to be trustworthy. A leader has to be transparent and sometimes even vulnerable. Okay. So she does not always have to give the good news or pleasing news. But
Yes.
as long as the news is given on time, with
Mm-hmm.
whatever amount of information that is allowed to be shared, because sometimes certain information is privy and you cannot share everything, but what can be
Mm-hmm.
shared.
Hmm.
And if the leader owns up to the decisions taken,
Right.
the respect, the trust, and the following for the leader will continue. Okay, so I'll give again two stories here. In an earlier organization, I've gone through many difficult times. So, people may think whether I've had difficult times. But yeah, so I was going through a difficult time at home because of, people who had supported me throughout my career. They all had some, health issues. And so I really needed to look at a role which would not make me travel outside the city
Right.
at a very senior position, and I had this conversation in the organization, and we were exploring for such roles for a few months. But
Mm-hmm.
I had also already known that if such a project did not come my way, then I would quit the organization. That was something that I had decided because it was my priority to look after people at home then. And eventually, I did put down my papers because such a project did not come my way. Now,
Hmm.
given the seniority that I was at, most of the senior leaders knew that I had this constraint. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you expect of a leader? And there were many people who had worked with me. I had coaches who were assigned to me and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the organization also has their priorities, which means that if you need to be in a particular role, you kind of can't just make exceptions for everyone, which I
Yes.
understand.
Yes.
However, I would have expected some of the leaders who'd worked with me for so long to at least call me and have a chat with me before, I just made up my mind to put down my papers. In
Right.
fact, nobody called me. Nobody spoke to me. In fact, I was also trying to reach out to some of the people, especially the coach, and
Yes.
they didn't answer my call.
Hmm.
worried about? That I will ask them to help me, get a role or what? One doesn't know.
Yes.
Right? You just at
Yes.
least accept the call and speak what is happening.
Yes.
But there was this other senior leader who I had not worked with, but he was aware of some of the initiatives that I was driving in this organization.
Right.
And I thought I would speak to him. And
Mm-hmm.
my intention to speak with these people was just to actually firsthand let them know that I'm putting down my papers.
Right.
And you just need someone to bounce that idea off because you might be emotional. Is that the right thing to do? And all of that,
Yes.
right? So you just want to have
Yes.
a conversation. So this
Yes.
person just was aware that Neeraja exists and she's driving some initiatives, but never worked
Mm-hmm.
together and all of that.
Right.
So I asked his EA executive assistant if we could get some time with him because it is
Mm-hmm.
urgent. She said
Right.
he's on leave and he had told that nobody should disturb him during his leave. So she wouldn't connect me with him. Now, the leader's numbers are always there on, the organization's directory. So I could get his number and I sent him an SMS saying that I would like to speak to him. It's a little urgent, so if I could speak to him on the same day.
Hmm.
You can believe it, he called me within 10 minutes, despite the fact
Amazing.
that he was on personal leave and he had
Yes.
instructed nobody should call him. And
Yes.
he didn't know me at all, right? I've not worked with him. But he
Right.
called me. And then I told him whatever was happening. And he said, Neeraja, I don't think I can help you. But, the fact that he was open for a conversation tells me that he is a leader who leads from the front.
Yes.
Okay. Another recent example that I will give is about, I hope we have the time, but I'll quickly tell because this is so
Eh,
important.
Yes.
I
Absolutely. Please
put
go
out a
ahead.
proposal for a leadership development program for a potential client. Now,
Mm-hmm.
they were very open and transparent to let me know that there were a couple of other vendors also they were evaluating who were pitching,
Mm-hmm.
which is the way
Right.
every company works and which is okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, initial interactions that I had were always with the HR team members, senior people, and the final decision had to be taken by the business leaders, which is also
Mm-hmm.
the right way because at the end of the day, the business leaders are going to sponsor the people who will come on this program. So, they should
Mm-hmm.
know that they are getting the right kind of intervention.
Right.
So I actually had the conversation with the business leaders also. Now, after a few days of this meeting, I was called and told that opportunity did not come to me, which again I was okay with. But I just said that I would like to get some feedback
Right.
in terms of why, so that I can learn
Yes.
from that, and
Yes.
maybe the next time, either this client or some other client, I can be better prepared.
Right.
I sent a couple of emails to the HR person who initially responded saying, "Hey, I have your number, Nirja, I will call you."
Mm-hmm.
But after that, no calls at all. And a couple of
Mm-hmm.
follow ups that I continued doing, no response. I also
Mm-hmm.
reached out to one of the business leaders who initially spoke well. But when I came to the point of feedback, there was absolute silence. So, my question is, why are you hesitating? You made the
Right.
decision. You know the
Right.
answer to it. You should
Yes.
have confidence to speak about it. It could be
Yes.
my commercials, it could be my approach to the program, or it could just be me and my style.
Yes.
Correct? So
Yes.
I'm saying a leader should not be a people pleaser. He or she needs
Yes.
to keep the bigger picture in mind and enable the teams to take the right decisions.
Yes.
However, if the decisions are not something that pleases the majority, he or she should still have the courage to stand up and explain
Yes.
it to the degree that is permissible. And the other important trait of a leader is resilience. Are you able
Mm-hmm.
to keep yourselves calm in the face of any adversity? Or do you
Right.
just lose your temper and emotions and scream and rant at the team, which will only make them jittery and more worried? Correct.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
remember a particular CEO who said that everything had been messed up. Okay, and the entire team was sitting. Their reputation was at stake because whatever system, whatever product theirs was really not catering to the customers. So the entire
Mm-hmm.
team was sitting and working on this overnight. The CEO
Mm-hmm.
was not an engineer, so he couldn't help. But he said, I sat with the team through the night to give moral support and to give them pizzas. Because there was no other, at that time, we didn't have the Dunzos and the Swiggies, to get
Right.
pizzas. So he said, at least I could get them pizzas. And that's a leader, correct?
Wow.
So
Yes.
the moral is that you need to get to the bottom of the problem. I'm not denying
Yes.
it. Not
Yes.
win, right? At that time, you just have to fix the issue. And then
Yes.
later you can call the team and say, okay, let's debrief now as to why this happened, and again that in a constructive way. So
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
leadership trait that I will look for in every person. And I believe I'm
Amazing.
that kind of a leader.
Yes, I definitely see you as that kind of a leader. And also, while you are talking about leadership, would you like to share, what kind of life skills should women have in today's age? And if they are looking at, being a leader, what are the next generation women leaders? What kind of skills should they look at? I mean, just quickly
Sure.
about them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, some of the life skills that definitely are required are problem solving, logical reasoning. Uh, so, storytelling, definitely, because that's a great tool to communicate, relationship building, which is networking, of course, innovation and creativity. So, I'm not even telling technology or anything, but definitely digital literacy is a must today. Okay. One of the things that is most important for a woman and a woman leader is understanding biases. And why am I saying that, right? Many times what happens is that woman is already biased to say that, okay, when I go in and I speak my mind, or put out a proposal, it will be thrown out of the door because I'm a woman. She thinks that
Right.
there is a bias against a woman. So in her
Right.
head, there is, this bias which is already there, that others are biased about her. And
Yes.
then she might become very defensive, she might become very aggressive, and all of that. Okay.
Right.
It's so very important for the woman to understand the biases that she has in
Hmm.
herself,
Right.
because of which she will end up working, behaving in a particular manner, which is not
Hmm.
what the rest of the organization is expecting out of anybody. That's one.
Right.
The second
Right.
reason is, when you understand biases, you will be able
Hmm.
to help the other people also understand their biases. Correct. You can call it out, explain to them that I think, this is something that you're biased about. Is there any rationale in you, actually thinking about it like this? So there are many kinds of biases, right? One is called confirmation bias, which means that if I believe in a particular thing, if I see something like that happening, I will, kind of say, hey, see, that is what is the right thing. There is,
Right.
unconscious biases of very different kinds that go back. For example, going back to my simplicity and the way I dress, many people have been biased the minute they have seen me in a sari with a bindi, and they call me as traditional. Okay, so they must have kind of given up on me the minute they saw me. But when they hear me, like people are hearing me now, and then when they work with me, they give me and my ideas more weight than
Yes.
they did when they first saw me, right? So that's a
Yes.
bias. So I
Yes.
think that's one thing that I want all the women to work on: understanding their own biases, understanding others' biases, and trying to help everyone kind of, uncover and overcome those biases, because then we will be able to together progress.
Absolutely. So, do you now believe in the limitlessness of a human being? Because we always hear that, a human being is infinite. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve if you really, want to, if you have the burning desire. So, do you believe in that limitlessness? And who, according to you, Nirja, is limitless?
So I volunteer at this NGO, which is called as Hope Works Foundation. It
Mm-hmm.
was established by this lady, Jacinta Jayachandran, in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
The trigger to establish this NGO was a question that the principal of this school, it's a girls' school, girls who come from financially under-resourced families. They are,
Mm-hmm.
studying between 8th and 12th standard. So the principal had asked Jacinta, can you teach my girls hope? And the reason she asked this question was because Jacinta is a alumni of that same school. And when
Mm-hmm.
Jacinta went to that school after many years, and she
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm from this school, the principal could not believe it, because Jacinta today is, kind of reached, the heights of whatever. Uh, and hence the principal wanted every girl in that school to be
Mm-hmm.
hopeful of a very
Yes.
different kind of a future. Because right
Yes.
now, at that point in time, all they saw was their mothers, who were maybe
Right.
maids in some houses. They were
Right.
married to someone who might just beat them up every day and then end up, kind of bearing 4 to 5 kids. So Jacinta then brought together volunteers like me, did a lot of research, and carved out a hope curriculum, which is now administered in the school. And
Okay.
the NGO has now taken on additional projects to look at girls who have passed out of 12th standard, get them scholarships to study undergraduate courses, and to
Mm-hmm.
supplement the college curriculum with a weekend
Mm-hmm.
curriculum that will prepare them for life and give them the same exposure that other girls have who come from affluent families and colleges, so that they
Mm-hmm.
have the same kind of a grounding to prepare them for the work world. These girls who shied away from speaking to strangers, they had
Mm-hmm.
difficulty in speaking a few English sentences. Today,
Right.
stand in front of an audience and make brilliant presentations. Fantastic English, diction, presentation skills. A couple of them have gone on to win their college elections. All
Wow.
of them have passed their first year degree, and some with distinction. And a few actually work along with studies and still keep their academics above 90%. Now, can we
Amazing.
call them limitless? So
Absolutely.
in the mind, it is in the mindset. So I did a
Yes.
promotional post about today's event, right, where I wrote that some women approach me for jobs, like many
Yes.
women will approach me for jobs.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
cannot point each of them to a job, but when I do see some opportunities, I ask them to apply. And most
Yes.
of the times, I get the response, this is not relevant to my qualifications. I'm not sure, of the learning curve that I have to go through so that I can deliver this kind of a role. They don't want to change their career tracks and all of that. So I tell them that if you want to do something meaningful in your life, then you have to apply. You have to apply and
Hey people, please be patient. She will be back with us. I think it's a network connectivity issue, and she'll be back, I think, just within a minute. Just give it a minute. Let us hang on here for a minute, and she'll be back with us. And we are about to just kind of finish the show. Another 10 minutes to go. And believe me, it's going to be a brilliant 10 minutes because it's the impromptu round. Okay, she's back. Let me bring her on.
so sorry.
No, no issues. Please continue.
So I don't know. I finished off my whole speech, but I don't know till where the audience heard it. Did they hear the story about hopers and the
Right.
girls, how good
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are?
Basically, they,
Right?
yes, they don't want to take up the opportunities. They have their own limiting beliefs.
That's right. Yeah. So I would really tell, the women, especially the women who approach me, and even when they are pointed out to certain opportunities, asking the questions: Is this relevant for me? It's not in line with my qualifications. Can I learn? Because it's very different kind of a role that I need to do. Um, I don't want to change my career stream, and all of that. The reasons that you give is only limiting you. So there are
Yes,
infinite possibilities,
yes,
limitless possibilities that exist. If the Hope students, the Hope citizens can do it, all of
yes.
us can do it. And I believe all of us will do it after this conversation.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Beautiful conversation. And we are already kind of running 25 minutes, only 25 minutes late. So we'll quickly move on to the next round, Nirja. That's not a long round. It will just take us 5 to 7 minutes to finish this
Sure,
off. So
sure.
let us quickly move there.
Go ahead.
So, Nirja, what's the best and worst advice that you ever received in like short one sentence?
Surely. I can't think of a worst advice, but the best advice that I have received is don't have an ego. Okay.
Wonderful.
Look at the outcomes that you want to achieve and let go of the ego. If you're able to achieve those outcomes, just go ahead.
Wonderful. What is your superpower?
So this was a question that was asked at another session where I was participating, right? And
Uh-huh.
I was asking my mother, if such a question comes to you, she said, if I had the superpower, I would have entered the pandemic. Okay. And there was someone in that group, in that audience, who said, I Neeraja Ganesh is a superpower that I want to have. So I don't know if I am a superpower myself. But I think today I'm trying to change mindsets by speaking out. If I have the ability to connect with someone and I can transform the mindset, that will do the job.
Wonderful. What is your top value, top towards value? I mean, the value which you have led your life with.
I already said, right? I believe in myself very, very strongly. There's never a doubt. I will always believe in myself, and I will be myself. So that's definitely one of the two. And I'm extremely open and transparent. You will not find any cobwebs hidden anywhere in my life. Whoever comes across, speaks with me, talks with me, works with me, extremely open and transparent.
Amazing. And what's your away value? I mean, because basically values are some things that ignite certain feelings inside of us. So, what is your away value? The feeling that you never want to feel. For example, I'll just give you an example. If in case I'm not clear, some people don't want to feel loneliness. Some people don't want to feel rejected. Those kind of things. I mean, what is your away value?
Do I have anything like that? Can't think of something immediately.
Okay, sure, sure. So we will move ahead. And what's your favorite hobby or time pass?
So, once upon a time, I used to read a lot of books and trying to get back into that, and hence I'm part of book clubs and all of that. But I think, the way to answer this question is, somebody asked me, what do you do to wind down? Okay.
Right,
And I tell them that anything and everything that I do, I'm so, it's so interesting. I pick up the things which I really wish to do, that I never need to wind down. And I do so many things that if at all one thing becomes monotonous, then I just move to the other one and come back. So to me, I think a hobby could be like listening to these kinds of talk shows. It could be, going and, speaking at events. And all of this has become a part and parcel of my life, that I really haven't had the need to find a hobby to wind down.
amazing, amazing. Uh, you spoke about book clubs. Would you like to tell us at least two book names that have probably, influenced you a lot in your life?
One is definitely Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the second is Apurva Purohit's Lady, You're the Boss. I will
Okay.
urge everyone to, pick that book. She's written two books. Apurva Purohit is the,
Mm-hmm.
ex-president of the Jagran Group. Now she's the
Right.
co-founder of Azol. One
Mm-hmm.
is Lady, You're Not a Man, and the second is Lady, You're the Boss. Definitely Lady, You're the Boss. If only one book has to be chosen, but read both her books for sure.
Sure, sure. What is that one thing that amazes you in life negatively? Like we get
Uh,
amazed by things positively. We feel like wondrous and wonderful of looking at things. And what is one thing that amazes you but in a negative way?
um, I think the fact that people approach you and they
Mm-hmm.
will eat up all your time, and they will
Mm-hmm.
take all the advice, and
Mm-hmm.
we give them advice because they have reached out to us and we don't even charge them for it. Okay.
Right.
And then they will not go and do anything about it. And then
Right.
they say, okay, it's a waste, all of that works for somebody else, it will not work for me, and things like that. That kind of amazes me negatively, I think. Yeah.
Right. Yes. If one of your wish could be granted immediately, what would it be?
um well, it's a funny thing, but and I'm going public with this, right? But I've always wanted to have two kids. I have only one daughter, but I guess it's too late now for that. But that is one of the reasons that I try and do so much for the young. Okay, because one, I really feel that you need a large community to support you, and I being an only child, I've kind of built this kind of amazing network and community that has always supported me, and I feel the same for my daughter. I want her also to have the support of a large community. I will do all that I can do to kind of make her feel that she's part of a larger family.
Amazing. Who is that one leader that has inspired you the most in your life?
Um, so there has been this lady, Pankajam Sridevi, who was the MD of ANZ, where I worked. Of course, she's
Mhm.
now the MD of Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Amazing leader, amazing woman, amazing personality. And she's also like, bang on. She will not mince words and, speak her mind. And she also, does not lose any opportunity to ensure that women progress. So, yes, definitely an inspiration.
Wow. In your next life, would you want to be born as a man or a woman?
A woman for sure.
Okay. Your life story in two lines.
A meek, timid, shy girl who transformed into an assertive woman and leader, and is passionate about transforming mindsets of all women and students with every interaction that she has with them.
Wonderful. And lastly, your deepest fear.
So I have always, fought fears with this question, what's the worst that can happen? Okay. And the response that I get when I ask that question in any situation, if I can deal with that, I will go ahead. So really many of the times and most of the times there is no fear, because the responses to that question will always say, oh, I can deal with this and move on. But I think if the response is that whatever happens will impact my family, then I think that's a fear. That's the only thing which will stop me from doing something. That's the fear.
Wow. Thank you so much. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing conversation, Neeraja. Any last message that you want to give to the audience before we, call it a day?
Yeah, we've spoken about it many times, but let me once again reiterate, right? Being on the Limitless show, you can be and you need to be limitless. So don't have any limiting beliefs. You can achieve anything. Just aspire and then act, and act now.
Thank you so much.
My
It was
pleasure. And
phenomenal.
yeah, yeah, and so glad that we could have this conversation, and looking forward to many more conversations off screen also. I'm sure
Absolutely.
it's going to be extremely fulfilling for both of us.
Yes, yes, definitely. And once I complete my 100th episode, I mean, who knows? We will have another interaction on the same show again.
For
So, and
sure.
you will have much, much more to share at that point of time.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshu.
Thank
Good
you so
night to all
much.
the audience who, patiently listened to us. Who knows? I don't know which part of the country they would have been, but yeah, they've stayed on for this long. Hopefully, it was interesting and impactful for them.
Yeah. Okay. Good night. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hey, people. So this went on for like long, right? It's 90 minutes plus, and I was enjoying it every bit, every bit. There was so much of wisdom she had. And it's about time for Christmas. And I already gave you the message in the beginning of the show that aspire always for the next level, always aspire for greater stuff, always be, limitless. But don't forget to be happy in this moment with what you have. Never forget to be grateful, because Christmas is all about giving, Christmas is all about joy, Christmas is all about sharing. and caring for each other. So Merry Christmas to all, and all of you, and an advance Happy New Year. Though we will be meeting next week, and I'll be bringing on an amazing guest. So don't forget to tune in next Wednesday. See you next week. God bless you. Good night. Bye bye. Take care.